Hey there folks! In this video tutorial, I'm going to be showing you my favorite way to prepare black bear meat that makes it very tasty, makes it a little less wild and gamey, and it's just an easy, delicious way you can use up the meat that your man brings home. Let's face it, a lot of hunters' wives know what to do with deer and elk and even moose, but black bear is different. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through a really tasty way to make a dish that your whole family is going to love. To make this recipe, you're going to need about a 3-pound bear roast or two. You can use two to make up the 3 pounds, but that's the amount of meat you need to start with, and it should be thawed. So to make it tender, all that good stuff, make sure you thaw your roast before you dive into this recipe. And from there, it's easy. I have the actual printable version of it over on the blog, so you can, I'll link it below. So you can go there, click on that if you want to get the recipe printed off, use it in your home. And I will also link below to the tools I use for this. So that's there. All right, let's dive in. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to actually brown our roasts on the stovetop in a cast iron Dutch oven, and I will link to the size I have below. But you're going to want to go ahead and put a couple tablespoons of some sort of fat or oil in there. Here I'm using lard, but you can use butter or even olive oil. Go ahead, put your oil in there, heat up your pan, and then you're going to just brown your meat for about 5 minutes, making sure it gets cooked on all sides. Sprinkle it with salt occasionally, and then we are going to add water. I like to add about 2 cups of water to my meat before I pop it in an oven that's heated to about 300 degrees. The whole goal here is to very slowly cook the meat until it's tender and falls apart when you dig at it with a fork. You'll want to flip your meat a couple times throughout the cooking process. Generally, with 3 pounds of meat, I like to do it for about 4 hours, but if you're going to do it longer than that, if you have a really tough cut, or if you're working with a really old animal, you might want to do it upwards of 6 to 8 hours. If that's the case, you are going to want to add more water in halfway through the cooking process. So around 4 hours, your liquid in the bottom is going to be mostly evaporated off. So to keep from burning the meat, it's very important that you replenish that water. If you do it for just 4 hours, you should be good, no worries, and we'll actually use the drippings left over in the bottom of the pot for making our sauce. To tell if your meat is ready or not, you can just dig at it with a fork. If it seems tender and falling apart, then you know it's done. You're going to pull it from the oven then and just let it cool till you can safely handle it without burning yourself. And then you're going to cut and shred it all up, just like you would pork for doing pulled pork on a bun. The secret to preparing very tasty wild game recipes is using quality ingredients as you cook the meat. So in this specific situation, we are actually using homegrown tomatoes for this recipe. Now, these are frozen, so I'm going to have to simmer them and cook them down. But you can use fresh tomatoes or frozen tomatoes and even your home canned tomatoes. If you have whole home canned tomatoes, scoop them out and go ahead and use them for this recipe. Once the tomatoes have softened and cooked down, I like to mash them up with potato masher, and then I will also add in things like my onion, chop some garlic. That's going to go in along with our other spices and herbs. Again, if you want the recipe, that's linked down below. Be sure to go check it out there. You're going to let your tomato sauce simmer and cook down a fair bit to evaporate some of those liquids off. And then you're going to go ahead and stir in your bear meat. Mix your bear meat in and then let things continue to simmer until most of the liquid has evaporated off and you just have a nice sauce-coated bear meat. And then that can be served hot over your favorite homemade dinner bun. You can also freeze your pulled bear meat for later if you want. You can let it cool, bag it up, freeze it, and then you can pull it out and just quickly rewarm it for easy, quick, fast go-to recipe for your family for lunches or suppers is a wonderful way to go. So that's it, folks. That's how you make a really tasty recipe using your black bear meat. This softens and mellows some of the wild game flavor, but it doesn't completely remove it to make the food bland. It's a great way to go. So if you have comments, questions, leave them below. I will get back to you on that, and be sure to pop over to the blog. Check out the recipe if you're interested. Other than that, my name is Autumn Rose. You can find me here on the YouTube channel or over on the blog at atraditionallife.com. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time.